wanted to make this video because when I was looking up information about supraventricular tachycardia, there was not a lot out there. So I kind of just wanted to put my story out there so people were aware, so people can come back and look at this, and hopefully this will help someone. I was diagnosed with supraventricular tachycardia when I was about 9 years old. It was something that I took medication for in the first year. The medication made it a lot worse. I stopped taking the medication. I was offered the catheter ablation surgery when I was this young because of how bad my tachycardia was, which my mom at the time, she did not want me to have the procedure done. And even when I was younger, with my tachycardia, younger and getting older, I would get it a lot at night. It was very severe. My heart, like you could see my chest move. That's how severe it was. Like it felt like I was running, even though I wasn't. Like it was just crazy. And that was the tachycardia that I thought I was only experiencing, was like once in a blue moon. I would feel like my heart rate go super high, but it wasn't just once in a blue moon. I found out it was happening a lot more frequently, maybe not as severe as the times that I felt. And that's when I knew that, I did have to get this procedure done because it was worse than I thought what actually was. So I kind of learned over the years to live with tachycardia. This was going to be a part of me. I thought it was something that I was just going to have to live with all these years. It just became a part of me. It was kind of like it was normal, even though it's not something that is normal, and it's very uncomfortable to live with. For a short period of time, I was okay. I was just living with it, doing what I normally did when I got my tachycardia, which was just lay down, breathe. Not much you can really do when you're having an episode of tachycardia. But as time went on, and I got older and I started driving, I realized, how dangerous it really was. And the doctor warned me. He told me, when you get older, you start driving, you can have tachycardia. It can be dangerous. It affected me at work. So every day, like going into work, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I always felt anxious. Like I always felt like my heart rate was high. It was always something. Like I never felt normal. And it took a toll on me. So I decided, this year, now that I'm 23, I was like, I'm going to go to the cardiologist, thinking that, maybe they could give me medication that will help me, or maybe I can get the surgery done. It is something that I wanted to do since I was younger. I just didn't have that option since I was a minor at the time, but now, I'm an adult, I can make my own decisions. So I decided, okay, let me go try the medication, which is what I did for some time, but I was still getting tachycardia. It was still affecting me every day. It was affecting me at work. It was affecting me in my personal life. I always felt tired. Like, it was really bad, and it was just something I just didn't want to live with anymore. So I decided to go speak to a surgeon that my cardiologist referred me to. So I spoke with the surgeon. We spoke about the pros and the cons of the procedure. He told me, just take a week off from work. It's a minor procedure. It's not like open heart surgery. It's something that, you can fix, and you most likely will feel much better after having the surgery. So I took his advice. I requested a week off of work, and honestly, that week was not enough. If I would have known the after effects of the surgery, I would have taken off much longer so my body could heal, maybe like 3 weeks minimum or maximum. I think 3 weeks is a good amount of time. I ended up taking 2 weeks instead of the 1 week I requested because I could not walk. I could not really do much for myself. I had to constantly lay down. It was like I was learning to walk all over again because of where they went in through the procedure. They went in through like the bikini line, and they went in through both sides because my tachycardia was actually found on my left side, and I guess they had started with the right side thinking it was going to be on the right side, and it was not. It was on the left side. So they opened up 2 holes inside of me instead of just one as they had planned. With the procedure, it is something that I don't regret. It's something that I'm very glad I did because now I feel like I can breathe, I feel normal, I feel like I can do everything else that everybody else is doing. I don't have to worry about whether me bending down the wrong way or sneezing or getting sick is going to trigger my tachycardia, because those are things that used to trigger my tachycardia. I did want to talk about the procedure day itself. So my procedure was scheduled early in the morning at like 6 or 7 in the morning, I think it was. They put a IV for the catheter in my arm. From there, they started prepping me for the actual surgery. They brought me to the surgery table. I had to wait for the surgeon to get there. Once the surgeon got there, they started the procedure right away. They didn't put me to sleep fully, but they did heavily sedate me, which I was very glad about, because I did not want to be like awake or aware during the procedure. That freaked me out a lot. So I felt a lot better once they told me that they were going to heavily sedate, and if they saw me move my fingers, that they would go ahead and give me more medication just to be a little bit more sleepy. Procedure, I'm not sure how long it lasted. I just remember that it took a little bit longer just because I guess they had a complication. Going in, they were only supposed to go in through the right side, go up with the little wire in the camera, burn the extra electrical pathway that I had, and then that was it. But apparently it wasn't on the right side. My extra vein was on my left side, so they had to go back in through my left side to burn the little electrical pathway. I remember waking up just one time during the procedure because I was in a lot of pain, and I ended up like looking down, and I was like, oh, and then I went back to sleep. And I remember waking up, I was crying a lot, but that was because of the anesthesia. I always cry when I wake up from anesthesia, so I told them like, hey, don't be alarmed if I'm like crying, because I'm a crier when it comes to anesthesia. I went back into the room. They had me lay down for a long time. I laid down for longer than usual after the procedure because they needed to take the catheter sheaths out of my body, but they had to wait until my blood pressure was to a certain point, I believe. I don't remember much, but I know something was going on where it was too high, and if they took it out at the time that the blood pressure was that high, I would have bled out, so they had to wait for it to go down. Eventually, after I drank water, I had to urinate a lot to get the medication out of my system, so then they could pull the catheter sheaths out. That was a very painful process when they pulled it out. One side hurt way more than the other side. After that, I was done with the surgery. It was just recovery time, being on a cardiac diet, slowly walking, but not pushing myself too much. Like, everything was just going to take time. Because they had a complication, they said my recovery time was going to take a little bit longer than they thought it was going to, which is why I say to take more than a week off. Maybe 2 weeks is better, or even 3 if you're able to, just so you have enough time to heal and start moving around again, get into your normal routine again, which that takes time too. Even just like getting myself food was like such a big thing for me. I had the procedure done in January or February. It's now June. It's been almost 6 months. It makes 6 months in July. I have no major concerns. I'm glad I got the procedure done. I have minor concerns, but anything that happens after the surgery, you should definitely follow up with your doctor about. Let them know what's going on, just because everybody is different, and nothing is 100%. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that I got the procedure done. I'm glad that I decided to go through it. I decided to do everything I needed to do to be in better health, to live a better life, and it's something that I don't regret, and I will never regret.